I'm Bill Zadig, National Freestyle Development Coach. We're covering freestyle rules here. A freestyle match structure is such that a winner of 2 of 3 periods wins the match. So if the red wrestler wins the first 2 periods, the match is over. If red wins the first period, blue wins the second period, then we'll go to a 3rd period to decide the match. A period is 2 minutes, and the wrestler will win the period by outscoring his opponent by greater score value, 1-0, 2-0, 2-1, 5-4. Another way to terminate a period is by 2 3-point holds. So either a 3-point double leg, feet to back, which we'll cover the 3-point moves later on, or a 5-point move, which is feet to back with high amplitude, hips going over the head, or a technical fall, which is a score difference of 6 points or more. So 6-0 or 8-2, something of that nature. Also, in international wrestling, in both styles, a fall in any period terminates the match for the athlete who performs the fall. A 1-point takedown occurs in freestyle wrestling from the neutral position when an athlete performs a takedown and puts his opponent to an elbow, knee, shoulder, or head. In this case, Carson will demonstrate a single leg takedown. 1 point we have right here. A 2-point takedown would occur from the neutral situation where both wrestlers are on their knees, for example, from a front headlock situation, and Carson shows exposure by an Olympic roll. There we have 2 points. A 3-point takedown in freestyle is from feet to back with an exposure. This can happen in several situations. For example, a double leg takedown in which he exposes his opponent's back. There we have feet to back for 3 points. And finally, we have a 5-point hold, which is feet to back with high amplitude, and where my opponent's hips are taken over my hips and over my head. In this situation, there we have hips going high over my opponent, scoring exposure for 5 points. Also, in international wrestling, one of the major differences in the down wrestling, you'll notice here, as an opponent attacks in a gut wrench position, very similar to a tight waist, he's allowed to lock his hands to create a turning opportunity. A second difference is there's an opportunity for multiple turns. Here, Carson's going to demonstrate a gut wrench. He can continue to roll, score as many times as he needs to terminate the period. In international styles of wrestling, once an opponent has secured a takedown, the mat wrestling is called parterre. In this situation, once an opponent gets on top, the referee will allow plus or minus 15 seconds of wrestling in the down position as long as there's progress. If there's no progress, the whistle blows and we come back up to the neutral. Once in the down position, the top wrestler is working for a turn or the pin. A turn occurs by any number of holds in which he creates an exposure. Anytime the bottom wrestler shoulders break a 90-degree plane, there's an exposure. In the situation where Carson performs a gut wrench, he goes elbow to touching an elbow, shoulder, or head, that's a 2-point exposure. As he creates an exposure, as a defensive wrestler bolsters his position and goes hand to hand, that's an exposure for only 1 point because he did not touch an elbow, shoulder, or head. A third way to score is once you've created an exposure, similar to folk style near fall, whether it's a 1-point or 2-point exposure, he holds them in the danger position for a 5 count. Then we have an additional 1-point near fall. Freestyle, this is both freestyle and Greco. Also, in freestyle and Greco international wrestling, we have what's called a touch fall. This occurs when an opponent's shoulder blades touch a mat simultaneously. It is not like a 2-second fall common in folk style. This can occur from several situations. One, from the feet going straight to the back. A double leg occurs right to his back. We have what's a touch fall. That instantly ends the match. Another scenario would be from the mat. As one athlete performs a gut wrench, the defensive wrestler's shoulders hit the mat simultaneously. If that's called, it'll end the match. That's a touch fall. In the event of a tie in any one of the periods, the criteria go if there was a score in which it was, for example, 3-3. The first criteria is a caution. The athlete who received the caution, his opponent would win that period. The second criteria is a higher point value for a hold. So if a 3-3 score were the case, it would be one athlete had 3 one-point takedowns, the other athlete had 1 point takedown and a 2-point tilt. The athlete with the 2-point tilt wins the period. If we end a period 0-0, we go to what is called a leg clinch. In the first and second period in freestyle wrestling, the red athlete draws the ball first. He will go to the officials' table and draw a ball out of a bag. Whichever ball he pulls, that athlete, red or blue ball, that athlete will take the leg clinch. In the third period, if there is a clinch that occurs in the third period, the referee always pulls the ball in the third period. So if a match were to end 0-0 in the first period, red would pull. And then in the second period, blue would pull. In the third period, the referee will always pull. Here we'll demonstrate a leg clinch. Say, for example, in this situation, Carson, his ball gets pulled. He will choose the leg. He points at the leg. The referee tells the defending athlete to present the leg and to be set. The offensive wrestler then takes lock, and the whistle blows on the lock. Now, in international wrestling, this happens very quickly. Oftentimes, it almost appears as a rolling start. So, if this were the case, choose leg, defense presents, take lock, wrestle. They flow right into it. A takedown in the clinch position occurs when an athlete, the defending athlete, hits his knee or butt in a defensive manner. If his hands, the only way this would not occur is if his hands are locked around the offensive wrestler's waist when they hit the mat. Here, wrestling will continue until the offensive wrestler breaks the defensive wrestler's grip. There we have a 1-point score. If, in a clinch situation, as they start, the defensive wrestler clears the leg, as action occurs now, they would continue wrestling the whole 30-second period with the responsibility of score being on the offensive wrestler. Basically, the defensive wrestler can prevent him from scoring to win this period.